It's been 10 years this year since he'd gone. Hard to believe. So that's 22 years since Don started here in the reserve. And we came down here because this is Timatonga Gully, which was the beginnings, and this is where it all started as far as the reserve went. Well, other people might be able to say, why Don was motivated to do this, to immerse himself so much in this reserve. We had lots of fond memories of working here with Don. A lot of lovely lunches and things like that. We used to sit around talking, and we learnt a lot just by absorption.
The first planting was in this gully up in here. It was organised as a community planting. It was advertised and people were invited to come. The Waiheke County Council nursery, which was then owned by Auckland City, which I was running at the time, supplied all the plants for it, and for the first few years we supplied all the plants. So I think we were planting something like 1,000 trees on that first day. And so this, what you're looking up at now, was all bare hills with slips on it. There was one kānuka up in this gully, and there was a small patch of gorse not far up in here. The patch of gorse became the first little nursery that Don started to grow seedlings in underneath, and it just kept going. But all the early years we used to bring the plants here. That same year that Don started planting, the team from Nick Johnson that because of the subdivision they were required to do a re-veg, so they were also planting manuka on the site. So we had started when there was nothing there, and that same, a few months later they started planting little manukas over the side as well. So it all happened pretty quickly from then on.
This is where we had the working bee after Don Chapple's funeral. This was a very bad blanket area of honeysuckle, and so similar sort of area as the moth plant. It's just been all cleared now, and it's ready for planting.
This here is one of the lock-up, where this is right in the middle of the two sections, east section, west section, and we've just come through here, the little connecting strip. But we had a lot of these little lock-ups for tools and things like this. This was the main one. Even though, we're here to remember Don and everything like that, but I suppose we should be acknowledging Russell St Paul, who had a lot to do with Don. They worked together early days in the reserve. Russell brought in a lot of the water tanks, and he built this little shed here and built a few other structures around through the reserve.
Okay, where we're at now is an area known as the lock-up shed area. This is where we've brought a lot of the different seedlings and saplings of lots of different varieties of species here. And a lot of these trees will now be taken out to planting sites, and the smaller ones will be taken to the nursery beds.
The way we used to have our lunches, and there was an infestation of mice, and so these mice would crawl all over us, up our shoulders, things like that, come out of Don's lunch bag. We haven't seen anything like it since, thank goodness. Don's favourite tree, in fact, was the Kahikatea. Whether it's the fact that the Kahikatea is the tallest tree, we wondered if that was related anyway.
But Don loved to plant things in the best position for them, and the owners of the land were temporary.
Yes, exactly.
They just come and go, but the trees should be here forever.
Okay, now this hillside was very badly grown with weeds, and what we've done with the gorse is left the straight stuff standing so it can provide a good nurse cover shelter for the natives to be planted in here.
And in this area here, we used to have there's a little shelter and a tank, and in fact a little wire wove bed was down here that, as I say, sometimes Don used to spend the night. And also he planted some quite significant trees to himself personally in this area, particularly for Max.
This tocha just in front of me here
is, I'm sure, the tree that we planted for Max. It was his son. His Don's son.
So does Don have a tree?
A particular tree.
Just a
He's
reserve.
got a plinth.
Yeah.
Oh yes, plinth.
He's got a plinth, like a sandstone kiriru that was powder carved, and we mounted it on a tarairi stump. That's down by the entrance, right by the beach. Yeah, that's sort of like the monument to Don.
I remember asking him, how do you stop from getting angry? Because I think the whole Love Matiatia stuff was happening, you know, the city wanted to develop all Matiatia, and he was writing letters to the editor and making submissions, and I said, how do you stop from being angry? And he said, I only get angry when something's right in front of me. And so when I would ride my bike up from the ferry, feeling frustrated and angry at all these single passenger cars passing me by, I would just think, just look at what's right in front of you. So I guess he was the beginner of mindfulness. So that's what I want to share about Don, precious Don.
I was reading the book Matiatia and it had a bit about Don, and so it was quite interesting just looking at photos of what it all used to look like and how much it's transformed, and well, the whole island really, in lots of ways. But what a huge part he had in that area, you know, and how to make it beautiful, and before it was such bare land.
I remember sitting with him on one of the hillsides saying, Don, you'll be gone before these grow. And he said, I'm growing a forest for the next generation. And so for me to hear you say that, because I met you when you were little,
Yeah.
you know, so lovely. It's exactly what he would want to be hearing today. That you get it, what he did.
Well, in a world where we don't seem to value these things enough, I think the more of us who do value them and try and make a difference, the better.
For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. And so say all of us, and so say all of us, and so say all of us. For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. And so say all of us.